Is resilience a skill or a quality? I believe it to be both. And the reason I say that, let me explain. When we are faced with difficult times in our lives or obstacles we have to overcome, we have to believe in our hearts that we're going to overcome them with a positive mindset, and we're going to use them to propel us to greater things. Like many of you in this audience today, I have had my fair share of adversity, knocks, and hurdles I've had to overcome. None more so than the loss of my mum. Even though losing her was the biggest pain of my life, and I was hurt and I was angry, I still smile at the 35 years I had with her on the journey that I took in life. She taught me many things in life. She taught me great qualities. She taught me how to love unconditionally, how to help people who are going through difficult times, how to empathize and be compassionate. And she taught me how to find joy in the most difficult times of our lives, which we have to do to get on with everyday life. But most importantly, she taught me what resilience stands for. From a very young age, myself and my sisters watched as she lost one sibling after another, and all but one dying before her. And we watched as that unbearable screams of the questions of why, and why, and the same answer coming back, not another one. And then the pain of the crying and the tears coming from her heart and her soul. But she knew she had to get over the loss of each and every sibling that died in their 30s, because she had 2 jobs that she had to do. And that was the wife, and more importantly, the mum of her 6 girls, because we were her girls. She taught us, no matter what you face in life, you have to pick yourself up and you have to dust yourself down. And as I watched her put one foot in front of another to overcome those hurdles, I learned from a child right through to the adult, as I stand in front of you today, how to overcome obstacles with a positive mindset. I learned how to throw curveballs out my way, because watching her from that little girl is what gave me the courage to overcome them. The science behind resilience, why do we need it? That is the question we ask. We need it in our career. If we're going to develop in a role that we have worked our lives for, we have to face challenges within that role so that we can learn to be better and bigger than we was before. We have to have it in our personal lives. When we meet our life partner, when we have our children, we'll be met with curveballs and we'll be met with obstacles, and we have to learn how to overcome them. But most importantly, we will need it in everyday life, because life can be tough, and we all know that. But how we deal with life instead of letting life take control of us is what kind of life we have. And if we've got resilience, we can sail through life with a joyful outlook and a spring in our step. But if you've been really lucky and never faced adverse times in your life, then you will find it difficult to overcome those challenges. It can impact on how you stand after falling. It can impact on your mental health and your well-being, and how you view the world and how you view yourself. And more importantly, it can impact what result you get at the end. Imagine the pain of a 20-year career, and you have to make a decision to walk away from that career. You have worked your whole life for. You have put your time into it. You have put your energy into it. You have put your passion into it. But most importantly, you have worked your socks off. And all because of the actions of one man. Then you make the decision to walk away. And you don't know what door to open, because this job has been your whole life. 20 years of hard labour, 20 years of hard graft, and 20 years of being told you are not good enough to get to the next level because of where you've come from. Because I come from a place of poverty. Expectations for me was to be a cleaner, at best, work on the local till at the local supermarket. But I had bigger ideas. As a 10-year-old little girl, I was writing dreams and wishes down. What turned out to be the greatest skill of my life, because that became goal setting. And that is a skill I still use today with clients. But I was having to walk away where I'd worked so hard for. This man had taken everything I had that I'd worked for. That pain becomes the level of where you're going to go. And at the end of that, you think to yourself, how can I possibly overcome that? And then you build a wall, and that wall gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and you don't really know how to get over it. And then you think back to the child that you was when you watched your mum bury a sibling, one after the other, that left 30 kids motherless or fatherless. And then you realise what you're going through is nothing compared to what those children have gone through, that have had to go through life without a parent. And that's when the fight back began. I sat on my settee and I didn't know what way to turn or what door to open, because my whole life had been based on this job. And then one day, my husband looked across the room at me and he said, "Why don't you write a book?" Me, write a book? The only writing I'd really ever done was lines I must listen to miss when I was 10. That's all I really learned how to spell as a child. But then somewhere in the back of my mind was that, could I? Should I? Would anyone even want to read my book? Would anyone even want to read the story of my life? Would it be interesting enough? Would it be exciting enough? They were all the questions I was asking myself. But then I realised this issue was becoming an obsession. It was becoming the biggest problem of my life. And the only way to deal with it was to do the book and write my thoughts down. And that is how it began. I set out on a journey. I realised that I had to write this book, and I had a message to get out. How many people in this world were faced with what I was faced with in that career that I'd worked so hard for and had to walk away? There's thousands, there's probably millions, and I had to share this message. Fears is something that I have never let bother me in the past, but it seemed to bother me right now. And I had to overcome it to get this message out. And on that journey, I met the most incredible people that would support me and help me on my way to success. Jim Rohn once said, "Surround yourself with the people who inspire you the most. You become the average of the 5 people you're with the most." I mixed with the inspirer, the motivator, the open-minded, the passionate, but most importantly, the grateful. Now, we question sometimes why we go through difficult times, and at that time, I questioned every day. Some days I woke up and didn't get out of bed. Some days I stayed in that bed for a full 24 hours because of anger, of pain, and fearfulness of what the future held, because I'd only known this one company. But then fight back comes, and I realise what I have got to offer this world. And on going to my very first event, I'm meeting a guy who would change the course of my life forever. This guy gave me my voice back. I went to an event that he was running in Sheffield, and when I walked through the doors, I couldn't even hold my head up. You people sitting here today, I wouldn't have been able to do this. And he gave me the courage to believe the impossible does become the possible. I knew that I wanted to share that message, and as difficult as it was, I had to get out there and I had to share it. And if you have to do it through your own way, whether it be humour, whether it be a one-on-one conversation, it will come. The transition had started. I had written the first book and I had it published. I had now, through the pain and the heartache that this man had put me through, I had become an influencer. I had become an inspirer, and I had become a motivator for the underdog, for the people that are forgotten. People like me who don't believe success is within the grasp. I had become that person that I used to look at on Google, on YouTube, and think, how did they really get there? I had become that person. And it didn't end there. I decided, this message is too big. I need another book, because I decided I was going to be the Forrest Gump of writing. He ran his whole life, I wrote my whole life. I must have gone through 100 pens, because I was writing before I was typing. And that was my way of dealing with obstacles and hurdles that was put in front of me. I believe for us to become the person we were born to be and live a purposeful life, we have to face challenges in order to support us on our journey. I believe it is paramount that we learn from them. What can you take away from your biggest pain? Think of your biggest pain barrier. What can you learn from it? And how can you use it to propel you in the future and to help others? How can you adapt? Have you got the willingness to adapt? What can get in your way? These are all the things you must ask yourself when you are faced with difficult times in your life, because as an individual, you will go through tough times. How you come out of it is up to yourself. I decided I was going to rewrite the story. I was going to define my own path. This man had taken my past, he had taken my present, he certainly was not taking my future. I had decided he had done enough damage. It was now time to fight back and show him I was not scared of him any longer. How do I know this story? Because it's a story that I have lived for the last 4 years. It's a story that I serve with my people that I work with, as illustrated by a client who recently didn't want to go into an exam because she feared failure. She feared when she got in that exam, she wouldn't get the result she wanted. My words to her were, Rebecca, you have worked hard for this. You have got the tools, the techniques, and the skills to get that result that you want. But only you can believe that you're capable of that. I believe in you, and you must do the same. Now go into that exam room and get the result that you rightly deserve. Rebecca went into that exam room, and she came out of there with the result that she wanted, and with a spring in her step to match. 4 words is all it took for Rebecca to go in and get that result. And that was, I believe in you. And those are the words that this guy had said to me only 4 years before. And those were the words that helped me become a writer, a speaker, a radio host, a playwright, all with no qualifications. I left school with not a single qualification, and I stand in front of you as a 3 times best-selling international author. That is something I would have dreamt about 10 years ago. I was always a risk taker. I was always a dreamer. But when you dream, it can happen. When you have it in your head, you can hold it in your hand. It's you that has got the power in your hands to your future. And that's what Rebecca realised that day. Her mission that day was to stay out of that exam room. Why? Because she had doubt in her own abilities. And the minute she heard those 4 words, I believe in you, she then started to believe in her own ability. She then was ready to take on the world, and she then was ready to get that result that she wanted. Without resilience, would Rebecca have got that result? Without resilience, would I be standing here today in front of you people, sharing my story of how I overcome obstacles, hurdles, challenges, trials, whatever you want to call it? And would any of you be sitting here today because you are all here for the same reason? You're here for change. You're here to make your future better than it is today. Remember, when you have difficult times in your life, remember to embrace it and grab it with both hands, because there's a reason why you are facing those times. Look for the message. It's important that you take out of that whatever message you are being taught. This will help you live the life that you want to live. It will help you develop the skills you need for your future. It will help you rewrite your story and define your own path. The skill of resilience is using the quality of life to find comfort and happiness in oneself. Ladies and gentlemen, you haven't come this far to only go this far. Thank you.